Horns are very heavy, Colleen. They, I haven't weighed a set again. I must go do that sometime. Marco was great. He weighed those buffalo horns a while back. But I would guess a big set of kudu horns. Keep in mind that they've got the longest horns of all antelopes, and it's also quite a thick horn. I would guess probably 10, 12 kilograms, 10 kilograms maybe for a very big set of horns, 9 kilos, something in that direction. Call it 20 pounds. That would be a rough estimate. But very, very strong horns as well. I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen kudus doing battle. I've seen it a few occasions where males really are fighting for dominance. It is a very powerful experience. I mean, obviously each kudu could weigh 250, 300 kilograms. That's 650 odd pounds, and they really lock horns and have a big fight if they do. So those horns are very powerful. They can normally withstand whatever pressures and sort of impact the kudus have there. From Sue about, oh, there's the grey luri. Look at that beautiful crest as well. This is obviously a very healthy individual having a drink. You can see looking around. All animals are always quite wary around the water, unless you're an elephant or a buffalo or something big. You must be enjoying this, Pete? Thumbs up from the FCC there. Go away bird or a grey luri. I love the way they run as well. Question from Sue earlier, just as we've been mentioning the warthol, there you can see the last part of Gowrie warthol that had water in it. You can still see the texture of the mud. Just Sue asking if it ever rains too much. I don't think it can ever rain too much, the same as it can never be too dry. You know, worst case scenario, we have a big drought and animals take strain, but ultimately that is part of the sort of the normal circle of life, if you want, out here. But it sometimes rains a lot. 2000, for instance, there were massive floods here where the rivers are flowing and the roads become undrivable, even the bigger roads. It makes it very awkward for humans, you know, all our lodge setups, and I'm sure Wild Earth, I don't even think what's going to happen when it rains a lot. But it is not something that really affects things in nature too much. All these animals are looking at those waterbuck and the birds, and even us as humans. We've lived for a very long time and have lived in our world, and we will adapt to it. Even if we change things a bit as we are doing from our species point of view, ultimately we'll adapt to it as well. 5 minutes left. Jeez, like, didn't even realize time has flown that fast. The bird life is fantastic, and I think that's something that, again, with Pete being here and going to go into it more often, but also just with the proximity of this pond, or Gowrie Pan, shall I say, as soon as you've got a very personal space, as soon as you've got a nice contained area, maybe it's just a little bit of water and a bit protected, littler things, smaller things like birds and so on become more comfortable with it. In other words, something like a robin or a long-billed crombeck, for instance, one of my favorite little birds, white-bellied sunbirds, all those little ones, they're not likely to go and drink even at the pan because it's quite exposed. A hawk or an eagle could come in quite quickly. Big animals come around. It's far away from their natural habitats. A lot of these birds, smaller birds, live in very, very sort of secluded, peaceful environments where there's a lot of bush, and they can always just be tucked in there. So more and more we'll hopefully see small bird life as well. There's 1 or 2 places we'll have a look at down the line. I'll just try and catch up again with a few of the comments here between a lesser and greater kudu, if any, and just asking there about kudu. Bandit, I'm not sure of your real name as well, but sorry, suddenly my memory just went there. I sometimes feel very bad if I can't remember details of people I met. I think, Bandit, if I remember correctly, we met out here at Juma, and unfortunately your real name is escaping me at the moment. The difference between lesser and greater kudu is essentially that, first of all, lesser kudu you don't find in southern Africa. They're only up more in sort of almost north of east and central Africa, and they are just a bit smaller. They look a little bit different. The horns are slightly more corkscrewish, even more than the greater kudu. So even though we always just refer to kudu, technically we should be saying greater kudu. That is what we see down here. I'm not going to go into it too much now. It's just a question about my trip in Damaraland. Maybe on the walks at some stage. I think a lot of stories and reminiscing and memories will come out on the walks. Quite often we'll probably take little breaks and sit down in the shade somewhere, and I might then entertain you with a few memories. But Damaraland certainly was amazing. Saw lots of amazing wildlife, the same as we do out here as well. Even though it feels like a lifetime ago, it was only a few months ago. it's time has also taken on a new aspect for me since spending a lot of it live, doing what we're doing at the moment. The horn certainly grows back. Helen just asking about horns. We spoke about the kudu horns earlier. If they do break those during fights, then it does tend to grow back again. Sorry, I was distracted there. Pieter, I'm just getting a bit of an echo. Thank you. The horn doesn't grow back like an antler. So it's not a case of the horn breaks off and a couple of months or years later you have a horn back again normal. But if the tip breaks, the horn can sometimes continue growing. It just depends on where that horn gets damaged. But if a kudu breaks it off, at the base like they tend to do during big fights, he will normally remain hornless. Think of the judge, for instance, that buffalo. Sorry guys, I'm looking intently at the screen. I'm still just getting more used to that. Oh, there's a lot of plans. And just asking about vehicles and rain season coming up, if we're going to be able to be out there in the rain. The way things are at the moment, not yet, just because of how things work. We obviously need to make sure that things keep on working. It's better to miss a part of the drive and have a camera the next day than it is to go out there and then not have a camera for a couple of weeks. But certainly down the line, I know that there's a whole lot of plans, which some of them I can guarantee you are even bigger and more imaginative than you could probably imagine, and I hope to be there for the whole ride for all of these things. But down the line, certainly we'll be able to be out there more and more in more diverse weather conditions as well. But for the moment, just with the way things are set up during big weather, especially if there's lightning, there's a whole lot of things that stand to be damaged on a permanent level. Everything from things down at the warthol to back in the life control center. But certainly over time, we will be out there all the time. Bandit, thank you. Just letting me know there you haven't been to Djuma. Now this is confusing me. I'm trying to think of who it was. It was one of the first times, I remember the early days here, that I met a group of people that came out that watch us often. And like I said, sometimes the sort of the handles, I don't know, I'm sure there's proper internet lingo for sort of a nickname if you want, or a specific name that you use on the internet. I do sometimes confuse them with the person's real name. Well, I think Pete's telling us that we can take a break away from that. I must say that I really enjoyed the space. I'm again not going to go on about it too much, but it's first of all very comfortable. I can see myself often popping in here to have a look. The general plan with this is that over the next few days, tomorrow I'll be doing this again. Texan will be doing a lot of this, and also it's not sustainable to talk as much as I did today. There's just so much going on and everything happening around us. But ultimately, the talk will be determined a lot by obviously what's around the warthol, but as importantly, maybe more important, by you guys as well. So the questions coming through and all of us learning how to communicate with each other, and I saw a lot of you guys are chatting with each other in between, and then questions coming through. It's going to be fascinating to see how that develops, and I will certainly quite often just pop in and join Texan or Rexon, who might be here at the time, for a few minutes and say hello as well. But I think most of all, something I'm excited about is that this was a very comfortable space. I enjoyed it. Thank you for everything that you sent through and for participating in a conversation. And what we're learning here and what we are going to be learning here over the next few days and weeks and months and years, I'm very interested. It is something that is just taking us one step further to just a normal, proper conversation. I'm going to quickly read through here. Just a couple of goodbyes there. There was an Impala. Guys, I'm going to say thank you very much. Thank you for all the thank yous coming through. Thank you for those that say bless you when I sneeze on drive, and all of the things that just make it a more and more first-hand, real-time experience, which is what it is. This is live. This is happening right now. We're going to go back to the warthol just now. It seems there's not much there at the moment. It's a little bit quiet, but certainly looking forward to more of this time. And I'm going to say goodbye. We'll see you this afternoon at 4 o'clock for the game drive, Central African time. Looking forward to getting out there. Graham and Emily and Simon also getting down here tonight if all goes well. We're still seeing how that's going to work out. And it's going to be fantastic having more people in camp. And yeah, a couple of big things happening this week. I'm going to say goodbye before I start rambling too much and maybe even start blushing, because suddenly I just realized that we're talking to each other. And that in itself is quite amazing. Bye-bye.